In this episode, we talk about authenticity versus appropriateness. I mean, is authenticity just overrated?
Or is appropriateness underrated? I'm Sienna.
And I'm Toast.
We're partners in love, life, and music, and we've been together since 2001.
With each episode of this podcast, our goal is to help our fellow LGBT community members lift their lives to the next level. All right.
Oh, okay. Thought we weren't on.
We're on. Is this
all right?
On? Hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks so much for listening.
All right. So it's very exciting because more people are coming out of the woodworks from the OG listeners.
Yes.
Did I use that right?
As they say, the kids these days. OG. OG.
I think I learned that from you, actually.
I learned it from the internet.
So anyways, So we just want to give a shout out to Dale.
Yes. Thanks, Dale, for the comments.
Thanks for the comments. And to also Queen. Queen is Dyke Diane. That was her handle. But Diane and Kathy.
Right? Yeah.
Have been together for a while, and they are a wonderful couple. And 1 year, actually, quite recently, maybe it was about 2 years ago or so, they sent the most hilarious X-rated horse Christmas card. And that's all we will say about that.
In classic OG lesbian style.
Also, shout out to Karen. It was so nice to hear from you again, Karen, and Holland as well. So many wonderful things happening for Holland in Holland's life. And to Myra, she was one person we heard from who was having trouble leaving comments on the blog.
So we apologize if anybody has tried to leave comments on our blog, like show notes for this podcast. We would love your comments. But
Please
we
try
have to
again.
imagine that if Myra was having a problem and she contacted us, we have to imagine that there are other people who had the same experience and did not contact us. So at this moment, we are working on getting that resolved. I have faith that it will be resolved by the time you're hearing this. So
And
please, comments are welcome.
Ken had problems, and then he stopped having problems. So
That's a good life. That sounds like life there.
But anyways, so Myra, she didn't have any other handle, did she?
Well, on Instagram,
you guys gotta check out her Instagram.
she's an incredible artist.
Oh my gosh.
She specializes in what is this pencil, right? Pencil, extremely realistic pencil drawings of animals. She does animal portraits. So check out her Instagram. Her handle is mnaito designs 1, the number 1. So MNAITO designs 1.
And she actually 1 year gave me a picture of Kumin.
Kumin, our cat.
Kumin, and it seriously, like, it captured Kumin so well. Her eyes, and we recently commissioned Myra for a gift for someone, and she did an exceptional job.
Yeah,
it really is a gift.
Yeah, it's a really special like gift idea. Like if you know someone who like really just loves their animal, right? Loves their pet. I mean, and if you want to spoil them and give them something that's super, super special, Myra.
Go see Myra.
Yeah.
All right. Another thing we wanted to share is that we recently started sending out e-newsletters again. So if you are not on our email list, please sign up for it. Consider signing up for it. We will be sending one out weekly.
That's a plan with each podcast.
With each podcast, but it's not like, we're going to be sending it all the time. Sometimes, like some emails, I get one every day.
Yeah, no, we're not going to do that. Oh my God.
Right. That's why I'm letting them know.
Like,
it's not like we're going to be, sending bazillion emails. No. So anyways, if you'd like to sign up on our list, we'll have the link. The link's on our website, but we'll have it also in the show notes. All right, shall we move on to the topic of the day?
Drum roll. Yeah. Okay. So, authenticity, is it overrated? Or is appropriateness underrated? I would say but yes to both of those. I think in our culture, the reason we wanted to talk about this is because we feel like in today's culture, being authentic or authenticity is overvalued and it's narrowly defined, I think.
I think that second part is so important.
Yeah, and it's a big topic. This is not like a philosophy course, so
I know
we're gonna do our best to express in as clear and concise terms as possible how we feel about it. But we think it's a topic that doesn't get discussed very much at all, so we wanted to. So when I'm saying, okay, in today's culture, authenticity is just so overvalued. I think the way that I see that is the assumption seems to be that as long as something is, quote, authentic, or as long as somebody is being, quote, authentic, then, hey, it's totally okay to do or say whatever you're doing or saying because, hey, you're being authentic, right? You're being real,
I know.
And you got to respect that. And, hey, as if authenticity is the only and the highest value.
Right.
And as if authenticity is only being concerned with yourself as an individual and how you feel as an individual and how things affect you in the very short term.
Right.
So, okay.
Whew, and that's it for the podcast today. No, but that's totally true. And I think that, it will swing, right? So before it was all about, be authentic, find your authentic voice, find yourself. And all of those things are still very relevant. And they always will be relevant because as we grow, I think our authenticity shifts and changes. It grows with us.
And I think it is important. And I think
it is important.
It is a high value, authenticity, right?
But I think what you're saying is that it has swung all the way to one end where it's authenticity at all costs.
Right. And what we're sacrificing.
Okay.
Yeah. And what we're sacrificing is a sense of decorum, of nobility, of appropriateness, of consideration for other people besides yourself as an individual, right? Consideration for the people that you're speaking with, your community, consideration for even future generations and the social climate that you are creating by your extreme authenticity.
Right. And that's where our stance on appropriateness being underrated, that's where that comes in because, for a lot of this kind of the climate prior, it's been that being appropriate puts you in a box.
And when you say climate
being
prior,
appropriate,
are you talking about like previous generations?
Yeah, just how I was raised that way. So my grandparents raised me, and everything had to do with how you sat, how you looked, how you're,
which fork you use.
Well, not to, this is Hawaii, so not to
which chopsticks you use.
Yeah. But it kind of, when we decided to talk about this, I know that I felt like appropriateness, like, oh God, I've been appropriate all my goddamn life, So for me,
you've been there, done that with appropriateness.
The strive for authenticity is the thing that still lights me up, and for my lens, it feels like more about, okay, am I sacrificing my authenticity because my paradigm is about, wait, you have to be appropriate. Be appropriate first, then see how your authenticity fits in, if it fits in at all. So I know I'm working more on the still the balance, like
always the balance.
What we will,
always the
talk
balance.
more about in a little bit, but appropriateness feels like that comes a little bit more easy for me. But I do feel that it is underrated. I will say that.
In this current social climate,
yes,
right?
I feel like appropriateness has just kind of gone out the window, and we do need to bring that back.
It's funny because I feel like the way I was raised, I feel like for whatever reason, because I don't see my parents as being like really having inculcated me with the value of authenticity. My parents, I mean, I feel like they're very straight-laced, conservative. My dad's a staunch Republican to this day. So I don't know exactly maybe where I got this, but, you know what it was? Maybe it was just the town that I grew up in. Because the town that I grew up in was a very small town, blue-collar place where there's a pride taken in a hard day's work and don't put on airs, right? Like in Hawaii, when we were growing up, the slang for that was, hey, no act. Meaning, hey, don't put on airs. Don't act. Just be who you are. Don't put on an act. Mm-hmm. And so I think maybe that's where I got this value of like, hey, authenticity is the highest thing. And I think the way that I expressed that, or I tried to live that value was through, I think, the choice of clothes that I wore, which was like, I didn't give a flying beep, about like, I'm just going to wear a shirt until it has holes in it. And if somebody's going to judge me about it, then, hey, that just, they're just being judgmental and I'm just being authentic. I'm being pretty extreme in describing it, but I think that was my automatic knee-jerk reaction to the idea of trying to really, trying to dress up and trying to, really look put together and look sharp, and I think I had a resistance to that because I automatically was suspicious of that because, you're being inauthentic.
But see, you know what's strange about that to me is that your parents are sharp.
I know, that's what I mean. It's like I can't.
Well, they they have a beautiful home, and all of those things are
right. Maybe it was my form of rebellion. You're right. My adolescent rebellion against.
And here's the thing: they allowed you the space to do it. Mm-hmm. They weren't going.
Well, actually, they did. But they weren't forcing me. They weren't,
they was forced. Oh my gosh, look at your hair. You're going to go to school with your hair like that? Oh my gosh, look at your, what are they going to think? Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, see, what I got was like an eye roll.
Okay, so it was more subtle.
Like or like oh my gosh, okay. All right. That kind of...
Yeah, so I think it's so funny because we're kind of going off slightly on a tangent here, but, when I first heard Toast sing live, she was opening for a concert that I was a part of, and I was impressed with her musical ability, for sure. But when she showed up at the gig, so here she is performing on a stage in a ballroom in a hotel, and she has on a t-shirt and jeans. And the t-shirt is like just a t-shirt. Like maybe she got it from, maybe it was like from, I don't know, like the Fun Run.
No, it wasn't that kind of a... It wasn't like a garage sale.
No, not a garage sale, but it wasn't like say, how some people have that casual stage look, but it might be like Keith Urban, right? He has a casual stage look. Right. So he has a t-shirt that is kind of fitted, That's his style, right?
Right. But in other words, what you're saying is when I showed up, I had no style.
You were just I
just had clothing. No style.
You were just very casual. And to your point of saying, hey, people who dress up, they're all acting like, whatever, right? That was your frame of mind at the time.
I would say yes.
Right? And so you just came like as if you had done errands. That's who you are. Right. You're going to wear, you're not hurt, are you? We talked about this, right?
I'm just laughing at myself.
I just want to make sure. Okay. So,
oh my God.
So, but I was impressed and here I am in like a gown for this thing and flowers in my hair. And now granted, I'm a femme. Toast is a self-proclaimed dyke. So, but anyways, I was impressed at the fact like, wow, she's just being herself. That's how I saw you. I'm like, you don't have to try. And I'm like, and look at all the work I felt like I had to, that's just, my paradigm, right? What dress am I going to wear for this thing? And what are, all this stuff, what songs am I singing? And so the outfit how should the outfit look? Where you just wore what you wore and you got up on stage and you just sang a bunch of songs, right?
Right.
So I loved that. But
and I'm so glad that you did.
I did. And then the funny thing is that I remember as Toast and I started doing music together.
After that.
Then when it comes time for our gig,
then
I'm like, you have to wear
like eyeliner is going on my eyes and mascara is going on my eyelashes and I have a little rouge going on.
I know. See, and now when I look at that, but we're all growing, right? So now when I look back at that, I would never have asked you to do that.
Really?
Yeah, see, because you don't do that
funny.
Now. If we do something, I'm not there putting your makeup on.
No, but you know what? I would. Because now, here's the thing. I think that contrasting the way I relate to this idea of authenticity and appropriateness now, are you still cracking up about me wearing
No, I thought about your dad.
I thought about your dad
because, can I just say this point?
Okay, yeah. I
mean, it's not really a point, but this thought, because I remember Toast's dad, once we started doing gigs together, I think he was a little excited that she was doing gigs with me because he felt like, oh, Sienna's going to have it down. She's going to take care of Toast and get Toast dressed up. Like, okay, good. Sienna's going to take care of that. So our daughter is going to, look a certain. And I remember one time you were telling him about a gig.
Okay.
And he goes, oh, who's putting the makeup on? Do you remember that?
I don't. But
who's doing the makeup?
I can imagine that happening very easily.
Who's doing the makeup?
Oh,
sorry, I just had to interrupt with that because I thought it was so funny.
That is funny.
Anyways, you were mentioning something about that, or should we just move on?
Okay. So what I was going to say was that, contrary to what you may assume, that of course Toast doesn't wear makeup, so of course she that's off the table if we do a show or a gig. What I'm saying is that actually, I think for me right now, like it depends what the show is. If it's for a black tie event. Mm-hmm. Where it is appropriate for the atmosphere that is intended for this event, then I would, wear some makeup, because to me, it's appropriate to honor the event itself and honor the atmosphere that is trying to be created for that event. I think. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like if we were hired to perform there, you mean?
Right.
Yes,
if it's our job to add to the atmosphere of a high class black tie event, then it's our job to present ourselves in a way that's appropriate for that. Mm-hmm. And making that choice falls within the larger definition of authenticity, because an authentic value for me is to contribute to the greater good. Mm-hmm. Right. And in that kind of case, it's like, okay, I am being appropriate, which is which is authentic. So
Right.
anyway, yeah.
So we have to. So really, the bottom line is that we can do both.
Yes,
We can both find that beautiful space in the middle of being our most authentic selves that we know to be, while measuring that with the appropriateness of the situation. We can find that nice, beautiful space in between. And I think that, why it's important is that people...
I think we wanted to cover this and kind of just put our thoughts out there about this because especially in our current climate and where authenticity is like placed on such a pedestal, I think it's easy to be really hard on yourself if you feel you're not being authentic 1,000%. For example, if you're in the closet, right? Or if you're working at a job that you're like, oh, like I want to move on. I want to do something different. I want it. And for some reason, you're not making that jump and choice right this moment.
Right.
You might feel like, oh, I'm just not being authentic to myself. I'm not being my true self. And
especially with the closeted person.
If you're beating yourself up about that, if you're down on yourself because you think, oh, why can't I be authentic? We just want to be a voice of balance to remind you that it's not all about authenticity. I think because one of our core values is harmony. It's about balance. It's about taking two seemingly opposing things, right? Like in music, two different notes, but when you have both of them together, that's what creates more beauty.
The synergy of that, yeah.
Yeah, the synergy. Mm-hmm. And I think living in the tension and living in the balance of those two seemingly opposing energies is the art of life. Yeah. And so it's not about like being authentic 100% at all costs is not success.
Right.
I think what success is knowing who you are and what you want and where you want your life to go, while you simultaneously consider the ramifications, the consequences, the other parts of your life, which are by nature inherently like you're intertwined with other people and the relationships. Like you are responsible probably for other people in your life, whether they're your children or your partner or your family, other family members. And I think it's good and it's admirable and appropriate and wise to consider your actions and the consequences, right? Not just for yourself, but for other people too. And to recognize that that's part of your values too.
Right.
And that is an authentic expression of your values as well.
Yeah. That's kind of like the time your dad folks, they're just all over this podcast. Mm-hmm. So Toast and I did a mini tour in Hawaii many years back, and we were on the front page of the lifestyle and music section of the newspaper. Beautiful full color picture, but in it was written by a more, I guess, progressive writer. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And there was gay all over it, and I don't think
when you say
lesbian.
That, I think it was. I think
was it lesbian?
I think the writer used the word lesbian a lot, used the word gay a lot.
Okay.
It's what? I mean, this was a while ago, and this is a small hometown newspaper, so I think honestly, like there was a bit of sensationalizing and fixating on
getting a rise.
Our sexual orientation, as if that's like super important to our music.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And anyway. So in that way, he was perhaps not that appropriate.
Right. Right.
But I remember your parents knowing that we were coming, and after that article was out, they were like, okay, you guys are coming, but can you guys just tone it down? And I remember my initial reaction. I was like, what? How can they tell us to tone it down? And that's coming from my wounds. If you listen to the other podcast we did on relationship buttons, that's coming from my wounds of, already feeling like I grew up in such a box of having to be appropriate. So it pushed that button initially. But here's the thing. We didn't even have to tone it down, because for us, being authentic is not showing.
I think what you're trying to say is that we're not
PDA people.
Yeah, we're not huge PDA people.
And maybe so there was nothing to tone down, basically.
Right.
So it didn't compromise. Their requests did not compromise our authenticity in any way.
Right.
And so it was, but if we were PDA people, I would have been okay
toning it down to help bring and be more appropriate. To contribute to harmony and harmonious relations.
In our visit for just 3 darn days. Right. I can do that, right?
Right.
So, but that's a situation where you balance, okay, well, but for us, it was easy. That one was an easy one.
Right. And I have to say, too, every situation and every individual is different. Like, we're not saying that the right choice in all situations is
to give in to appropriateness.
Right.
We are not saying that. So please, we're really just saying, it's not 100% authenticity or nothing. There is a balance, and the balance includes consideration sometimes, depending on your situation, of what's appropriate and what's not appropriate.
Right.
And you folks and we all have that choice. And authenticity is something that we are pursuing all the time, because we're always changing. And that's the beauty of it, No matter who you think you are now, you can change. And that's a wonderful, empowering thing to remember. From a day-to-day standpoint, everyone's working on their authenticity. I totally believe that. So this gives them this gives you guys, it gives us a little more leeway here.
It's a big pat on the back. It's a big high five. It's a big handshake. And it's a big bow.
And the emoji.
Admiration.
It's the emoji with the star eyes.
Oh, is that what that is?
I love that one. I think that one's kind of like, okay. I don't think he's
that one's underused, huh?
It's very underused.
I thought you were going to say it was the prayer hands emoji of like, we respect. We want to just give respect.
Star eyes and prayer hands. All right. So until next time, this is Sienna.
And this is Toast, telling you to love life, live free.